Kevin Durant went off last night. Absolutely phenomenal performance. 49 points. I hope you watch me on Fox Bet Live because I told you to take Kevin Durant to get a triple-double at 12-1. That was a nice payoff. Some of you got 14-1 depending on where you bet. That was a nice hit on a relatively low bet. 12-1 is always a great payout. That was one of the greatest performances that I have ever seen in a basketball game. Yes, I am still paying attention to sports. Yes, I am still putting on NBA games occasionally when they are of significance. And last night, Kevin Durant put up one of the best performances we have ever seen on a basketball court in the playoffs. Simultaneously, everything is falling apart. Chris Paul is now out because he got COVID. And let me just say this. I don't understand why we are continuing COVID protocols as if in any way players are under significant danger here. We don't daily test for the flu. We don't test for other viruses. In fact, one of the things that occurred that made Michael Jordan a legend was the so-called flu game. And now we're going to pull Chris Paul out for substantial periods of time, even though he is in no way actually putting anybody at risk or at danger. I don't really understand the validity of making this decision going forward. And so to me, this feels very, very strange as you kind of break it down and contemplate what rules and permutations are we putting in place here. It's time to move on from COVID. We don't need COVID protocols for sports. We don't need aggressive vaccinations and all these things. Everybody's fine. If you are a young, healthy athlete, you have almost zero risk from COVID. They have never required athletes to get flu shots, even though the flu is statistically far more dangerous to young and healthy people than COVID has been. So I don't understand this continued obsession with masking, especially when you've opened up arenas and you're allowing fans to all be in now. And we know, I said the same thing, by the way, about John Rahm, and we know that no athletes are having significant issues. Why are we conducting asymptomatic testing? Why are we worried at all about someone testing positive for COVID when it's going to have maybe the equivalent of a cold impact, maybe when it's going to have less than the flu impact? This is not the first time there's been virus that can impact sports. This has been going on for a long time. So I don't understand why there needs to be any protocol. Chris Paul may end up missing some of the Western Conference NBA Finals, depending on whether or not the Jazz are able to get past the LA Clippers, which I now think they're going to be able to, because Kawhi Leonard may have torn his ACL and may be out for the remainder of the playoffs. There aren't a lot of certainties right now about Kawhi's injury. They're just saying that he's out for Game 5 and maybe out for longer. This effectively appears to be going ahead and pushing Utah into the NBA, into the Western Conference Finals, where they would match up against the Suns. If Utah wins 2 straight games, then we're in an interesting spot here because maybe Chris Paul wouldn't be able to play, and the overall winner of the NBA's Western Conference could end up being the Jazz, just based on the fact that Chris Paul has been playing so fabulously well. This doesn't make sense to me. All right, the COVID policies don't make sense in any league. I didn't think they made sense in the PGA. I hope they're going to end the testing in college football and everything else, the NFL. Doesn't make any sense. It isn't making anybody safer. It's all cosmetic theater at this point. All COVID restrictions should be over. They should no longer exist.